Hi everyone, my name is Brian and this is the fish tank experiment. In today's video, I'm going to transform this old fish tank into a beautiful new shrimp aquarium. And I'm going to try to save as much money as possible while doing it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we are working on a 30-gallon fish tank here. And as you can tell, it is really ugly, but it was free. This was found on the side of the road and it came full of stuff. So I thought at first some of the stuff might be useful, but it smelled really bad. So I only kept the filter and I threw out the rest. Once I got everything out of there, I got a good look at the glass and it's missing most of the silicone on the corners of the tank, and it has a lot of scratches, a lot of stains, and a lot of dirt. It even has some rust spots, weirdly enough. But as bad as this is, I still think it can be brought back to life with a good clean. So I got in there with the vacuum and took out that bottom layer of dirt. So that wasn't a problem. Next, I used this powder called Barkeeper's Friend. Usually I use vinegar to clean tanks, but I ran out, so I had to use this stuff. It worked well. So what I did was just mix it with water and scrub it with a little sponge or a piece of cloth, and a lot of the big stains came out. However, I don't recommend doing this at home. It sucked. The tank smelled bad and that powder's really fine, so it just kind of spread in my living room. Don't want that to happen. Made my life a whole lot easier just to come to the car wash and repeat the process of scrubbing it, power washing it. So I do recommend this instead of what I did initially. It's a lot better that way. So the last step to cleaning this thing was to give it one last really good rinse. And I wanted to make sure that I took out all of the Barkeeper's Friend powder out of the tank. That way, when I added my fish, it wouldn't really cause a problem for me. So I took it home and let the tank dry, then added silicone. So this tank had almost no silicone left holding it together. So I applied this fresh silicone. This way I could comfortably add water and fish and it wouldn't break apart in the middle of the night. So just squeeze a generous amount on the edges and push it in place so it can seal both pieces of glass together. And this worked well. I wouldn't say it was the cleanest job ever, but I don't do this very often. So now that the tank's all done, I compared it to a new one, and turns out I saved $80 plus the $30 filter that came with it. So that's $110 saved so far. And finally, after that silicone dried, I went ahead and put the tank in this little spot in my apartment. Thought it would look cool here, you know, middle of the room, next to the couch. It's a good spot. So next I started thinking about what to put in the tank. So I was on a hike and I found this rock. And I like that it had a lot of hiding spaces, a lot of little caves in it. So I brought it home and gave it a good clean to use it for this aquascape. It took a couple hours to clean, but I think it was worth it. And along with these two other rocks, I just had to brush them with some water, get all that dirt off of them. And I would put them in these bowls to put some hot water on them to clean up any bugs or parasites that might be on them. So again, I just boiled some water and poured it on the rocks. So my point here is that you can find rocks and use them in your aquarium for free, as long as it's appropriate for you to take them and get yourself into trouble. So total saved here was $200 compared to prices at my local fish store. So total saved now is $310. And so now I'm going to add some lava rock. And I always like to use lava rocks in my fish tanks because it's very useful for bacteria to help buffer out bad nitrates. So just a couple pounds of that along with 17 pounds of this substrate. And I like to use Fluval stratum. And so since I'm going to grow plants in here and I'm going to keep shrimp in here, the substrate is specifically good for both. And I got the substrate on Amazon. It was $50, but again, really useful. So here goes that big rock. Took a few tries, a few different orientations, but I finally got it to this. And to me, this looked the best. And I think this is always the best part of aquascaping. It's the setup. So I added my heater, $20 from Amazon, and my light, $37 from Amazon. So I started filling up the tank with water just a little bit so that I could start planting it. So I went ahead and took some of these Vallisnera plants from my other tank, and I don't have to buy plants anymore. I just grow them, and I think it's fair to say that one plant can turn to 10 down the line if you have the right kind. So you don't have to spend a ton of money, you just have to be patient. So that's what I did. I started taking some of these other plants from my main tank and just cutting them to add them to my new tank. So in a few weeks, these will all grow back and I'll have new plants in my new tank. So it's a win-win. And one more thing, this sword plant right here actually sent up this really long shoot, which grew 10 new sword plants. So I think in a few weeks, I'll be able to move some of these into the new tank as well. So finally, let's get into planting the tank. And first, I just wanted to say that you don't have to do it the way I do it. I'm sure there are better ways and tools you can use, but this worked out fine. And we're going to add about 10 plants in here. And let's just say this would have cost me about $50, which I think is on the low end. So my point here is that you don't have to buy a lot of plants, because depending on which ones you buy, they are going to spread out and grow. And I picked up this Christmas moss from Petco for about $5, and the plan is just to glue it here on top of the rock. And this is how I learned how to do this. You put a little bit of super glue down and press the moss on it, and it will hold it there. And you definitely don't want to overdo the glue here, because it'll look bad once it dries. And now we wait and see if it'll all stay down on the rock once we do fill up with water. And total save now is $360 with the plants I used. So here we go, filling up the tank, and it all stayed down, so that's perfect. All right, so now it is all filled up, and remember, we worked on the silicone on this tank, so it is holding up together perfectly. And I added this temporary sponge filter while the cartridges come in for the previous filter that came with the tank. So this will help me get the water cycled and treated quickly. But this is how it turned out. Let me know what you think. And now for the best part and everyone's favorite and the hardest working fish in the world, the shrimp. So these are called Blue Dream shrimp, and they are amazing. I bought 6 of them about 6 months ago, and now I have close to 100 of them. I've only had one die because it climbed the plant out of the tank, but besides that, they are tough shrimp. So at first, I only added 8, and the tank was too big. I would only see maybe 4 at a time, so I added 40 more. And once I added them, they went everywhere. Here they go, new home. And I do have to say I have a favorite. This is Tars, and Tars has the biggest personality, always running around, always up to something. Tars is my favorite. So here's everyone else, and I did notice they like to hang out on the moss, and they'll go into the caves. And even though the tank is clean and brand new, they are always eating and cleaning whatever they find. So I think this rock and the shrimp are a perfect combination. I think they're just having a good time swimming around and just climbing every day. So it was good. And here's Tars again. So my local fish store actually sells these for $10 per shrimp, which I think is absolutely wild, but they'll sell out. So if I had used that price for 48 shrimp, I'd be saving $480. And I think that's just way too much money. So shrimp are amazing, and if you do get some, I recommend just buying a few and taking really good care of them, and they'll reproduce like crazy. So I guess if I had bought everything new or from the fish store for this exact aquascape, I would have had to spend $840. And I don't know, you can call me crazy, I won't be offended, but I do hope something from this video will help you save some money or will help you down the road. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.